All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Colleen Biggs. Colleen founded Lead Up for Women, which I'm an active member of and really enjoy all of the great things that she lines up for her members. So, Colleen, welcome to Highwire Woman and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. And yes, you are just like a friend now with me. And I think that's just how it becomes in a community when we have women. So I'll tell you a little bit about what Lead Up for Women is.
Sure.
And then we can always get into the whole reason behind all the tragedies of why I built it. But Lead Up for Women is an elite organization of like-minded women. And when I say that, I mean, these are women that are stepping into their power. They understand that they want to tap into maybe the untapped potential, and they want to be surrounded by other women that are doing the same, because we're stronger in a community. So when I built it, it was originally built to help women in corporate climb the corporate ladder. But then I quickly found out into about the first year that I was really on a mission to help all women, but mainly entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs. So that is the bulk of the audience of Lead Up for Women. And again, like I said, these are women that really want to show up. They want to be seen. So I want to create them the platforms that they need to be able to show up and be seen regularly. And we do that through a podcast, Speak Up to Lead Up. We do that through a magazine that we publish bi-monthly. We do that through monthly webinars that our members host. We do that through newsletters that we promote and spotlight women that inspire us to thrive, as well as Member Monday spotlights and events and workshops and trainings. And the list just goes on. And we're creating more. Because it's endless when it comes to the opportunities to really provide the space for a female to show up and decide, I don't want to be held back by anything. I don't need permission to lead the life I desire. And so our goal is really to help her step into that and create that sacred space for her to do that without competition or judgment, because that's a big thing with me that can't exist in an organization.
Yeah, and so many of us that own businesses, it's lonely at the top. Uh, I belong to lots of women's groups because I really need that community. And that's what drew me to Lead Up, because it's hard to manage a business in a vacuum. And, men have their way of doing it, but women have a totally different set of challenges. And it's nice to be with like-minded people or listen to people on podcasts. Every time I listen to a podcast of yours, I always walk away with something interesting, something new. And I think unless you're surrounding yourself with that kind of energy, it's really hard to grow the business. But even if you want to keep it where it's at, just to keep like-minded people in your circle is so, so important. So I've enjoyed it tremendously. And when did you start it, Colleen? Like, how long ago did this all happen?
So the concept came around in August of 2018, and we went to work behind the scenes and launched the business January of 2019.
Okay.
So a year and a half, not very long.
Yeah, boy, you've got an action-packed calendar. And what I like about Lead Up is that you can do as much as you want, or you can do as little. If you want to just do an occasional webinar, it's there. If you want to go all in, you can totally do that as well. The magazine is great. I look forward to getting it every single time it comes out. Always really interesting stuff. So where did your passion for women-owned businesses come from?
Oh man. Okay. So, as a female, I've always supported other females. And as I was climbing the corporate ladder, what I found was the men were the ones that always stepped in. And this is not just my own story. I'm finding this is many females, probably around my age, my generation, that have also felt this way. When they got to the top, there wasn't a lot of females there, and it was a lot of males, and they're the ones that mentored and sponsored them. And it's really sad that there wasn't more females there, because knowing the power that we have when we're collaborating, when we're not competing, when we're not judging, when we're not comparing, it's like endless. So I realized that power was there, but no other females really wanted to participate in it with me. So, that was really like, this isn't working out for me. I got to find a community of women that I can collaborate with, not have judgment, because I had some personal things going on in my life that I had to make a decision with health issues that were going on, that I had to just step into Colleen. I had to just say, I'm living the life the way I want to. I've been through a couple divorces, some breakups, and it was all just like insanity. I was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It never comes. There's never a different result.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, and sometimes your children pay the price for it. Other people pay the price for it. And, I realized that when I was able to let go of all of that, and I'm not saying let go of it where I didn't apologize. I had to have conversations where I apologized for people in my past. I let things go, and I didn't decide to take the scarlet letter with me. And we shouldn't allow other people to sew a scarlet letter on us either and tell us for how long we should be punished, right? So I had to accept who I was, where I wanted my future to go. And when I did that, and stepped into my power and looked for other communities out there that would collaborate at the level that I wanted to collaborate, I couldn't find one. There was always something that was like, you can't solicit to another female. I'm like, well, I don't want to solicit to them. I want to collaborate with them. But I think when we look at it from the mindset of the negative connotation of soliciting, then we feel like that. But I would rather open it up and give women choices. Here is all of the resources and tools available for you for the thousands of women involved in this community. Now you choose which resource you want to tap into, which tool you want to use, because, we're all so different, Rosanna. Like you have this unique ability about you that no other, attorney can touch. They might be practicing the exact same law as you or doing something very similar to you. However, they can't do it like Rosanna. And so when we realize that and how unique we are, it's so easy for us to collaborate.
For sure. And in my industry, boy, I've been the only female in the room way too often. I mean, even as recent as the beginning of the year, like when I go to cocktail parties and networking events from Big Law is still all men. I'm the only female. And actually, I play to that because they always remember me. I'm the only girl in the room, right? So they're like, oh, yeah, you're the immigration lawyer. Oh, yeah, you're from Buffalo. But still, you would think in 2020, those dynamics would be different, but it's hard. So I'm super happy that we've met up, and tell us a little bit about what's going on for Lead Up 2020. Everyone's business model has been totally reverse engineered. I mean, who the heck knows what we're doing, but tell us what you think you're going to do for the remainder of the year.
This is what I know. Rosanna, you and I, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. And I believe that, when we first went into the pandemic and the quarantine, it was kind of, cute, novel, and it started, and, toilet paper was running out. It was just, I don't know, there's toilet paper everywhere now, but it was just, people were helping people, and everyone thought it was, going to be this temporary thing. Then kind of the realization set in that this isn't temporary. This is the new normal, just like if we were to go back 20 years, children weren't wearing helmets and, and seatbelts and all these gadgets that they wear now that, and who would have thought 20 years later that would be a thing. So we're in this new normal, but then I believe this last wave that's kind of hit many states, I'm including one of them, I'm in Arizona, we're being locked down again. And now it's not so fun or cool anymore.
No.
So now there's uncertainty. A lot of uncertainty. And I believe that when we can stop and process that uncertainty and look at how do I need to approach my business model moving forward, and what do I want my business model to look like? How can I achieve the same outcomes that I'm looking for in the infinite impact that I want to have on the world, of how women are seen in a family, how women are seen in corporate America, how women are seen in other villages in other countries, which is just saddening. How can we make that infinite impact? I'm still driving that force down the same path. So I want to be able to continue to do the same efforts. We just have to figure out how to do those online or in a different capacity than we did before. So I just, want to speak to your listeners and say, I think it's really important for us to look at what is the demand, what is the problem that you're solving with your product or service, and how can you just modify what you're doing today to still be able to achieve that same outcome. Because if the problem doesn't exist anymore because somehow it's gone away with this, that's a different story. Then you need to completely, here's the famous word of the year, pivot completely. But if you aren't needing to do that, then I suggest you just keep your focus on your outcome and then look at how the culture is today and what can we do with the opportunities we have available to us.
Yeah. And what brings me comfort is that we're all in the same boat. Doesn't matter what industry we're in, right? Everyone's just trying to figure out, how do I do what I used to in a different way? And do I really need to do the things I used to do? Like, does it still fill a need? So certainly interesting times. And I'm with you. Like when the first quarantine hit, back in March, I live in Buffalo, and it felt like we were preparing for a snowstorm. Like it was kind of exciting a little bit. Like we had to get our goods and our supplies and we all had to stay home. And now here we are approaching August, and it's not fun anymore. Right. Right. And I love to travel. I know you do as well. And I'm just like, whoa, okay, this needs to stop. But we're all just readjusting and learning. And I still feel like now more than ever, collaboration, especially amongst working women, is critical. And I mean, I created Highwire Woman for the same reason. I have so many colleagues and friends that say to me, how do I do all of this? Like I have to do 400 things in one day. Like, how do I do this? And it's taken me a long time to figure that out as well. So I know you're good at juggling and balancing. Tell us like one thing that you can't live without. Like what's your thing? Or like one thing that you just love that you're like, man, this thing makes my life so much better.
Show me your drink. Oh yes, I love my Celsius because it's all natural energy drink. No, I mean, there's so many online softwares that I use that make my life easier. That that's really the goal, isn't it? Finding things that help you simplify your life, because we're women and we're juggling so much. And I think the other piece is the one thing I'm the most thankful for that makes my life that I can't live without, this is my honest answer, is my intuition. Without my intuition, I wouldn't be able to make the decisions that I make today, and I wouldn't be able to continue down the path. Because if I'm only in my head, I'm always misled. But if I'm listening to my intuition and I step back, it makes it easier. And that's like the key for us as women, is God gave us that intuition. Like we have this mean intuition that guides us, yet we shut it off so often to do. And we don't have to do. And if we would just step back and be guided, it just makes life a little easier and not so much in our heads, and but we seriously are like Wonder Woman. Like look at your logo for Highwire Woman. She's on a high wire between two skyscrapers, right? And she might as well have books and kids hanging off of her, and bikes and briefcases and computers and soccer balls and all the other things we do. But the one thing we have to remember as women is we have to put ourselves first, just like on a plane with the oxygen. you have to put your mask on first. And if you're not listening to your body, if you're not paying attention to your intuition, you will wind up getting sick. Almost every story from a woman to get her on the right path has been something that struck her so heavily that it had to shift her path or she would have died. And she'll never get to that.
I know, it's incredible. I know so many people in my network and circle that can only make really necessary changes when they're like on the brink of death or something super extreme happens. And it's like, wow, if we just took a little bit of time every day, to give ourselves that peace. And it's hard, especially in this world. I've been an immigration lawyer for 23 years. I remember the days when there wasn't email and social media and the world. I will still argue the world was a better place because there was actually time to think and be quiet and reflect and look out the window. I have a 14-year-old and he's just constantly in front of a screen. And I'm like, look up and see the world that's out there, right? And it's very hard right now to turn off the noise between the news networks, the social media, email, text. When you think about it, something's dinging at you every 2 seconds, right? And that is just sucking the life and energy out of most of us. And I really have to practice literally taking my phone, putting it away, taking off my Apple Watch, and even just going for a walk for 10 minutes with nothing, just myself. And I get like, oh, what if someone needs to reach me? No one needs to reach me for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm not that important. I do know that about myself. And we don't do enough of that. And I think so many of us feel frazzled because we're always in this like frantic mode and information overload and you don't know what to believe. This says this says that. It's a difficult time. So finding that quiet, finding that peace and listening to intuition. When people ask for advice, they know what to do. Their gut's telling them, right? Usually when they ask for advice, they're fighting their gut.
Always.
Right?
It's very, very rare. In fact, I'm not sure, maybe you've heard it, but I've never heard it, that anyone has ever said, I knew I shouldn't have listened to my gut. It's always the opposite. I knew I should have listened to my first hunch, or my intuition on that. And then our minds, Mel Robbins said it beautifully. We literally have 5 seconds from the time we think about something to the time our mind talks us out of it. 5 seconds. That's all you have. So if you don't do it in 5 seconds, if you don't make the decision in 5 seconds, your mind will do everything to try and talk you out of what that your intuition is telling you. So we're very intuitive beings as females, and we need to listen to that more. And I remember I used to love traveling on planes because it was the one time that I could shut everything down before movies. There wasn't even movies. Like you had to bring your own books or magazines because we couldn't even get movies on our phone then. But I loved just shutting it all down. Nobody could reach me for that 3-hour flight. It was so beautiful to just chat with people and talk. And now, when we get back on planes, and some people are already back on them, there's Wi-Fi, and then you're irritated when the Wi-Fi is not working because you want to get so much work done.
Down, right?
There's just there's no break anymore. And that like FOMO is crazy about, like you said, 10 minutes, the sky is not going to fall. So if you're a bath person, take a bath.
Right.
Mine is sitting and eating dinner, literally. And sometimes it's the only meal I get. But I tell my husband, I just think we need to stop and sit down because we're both working from home. But that's our businesses. So it's not like this made it any different. We were always still working from home. Right. But, you have to really, if you're at home now, especially, you have to separate that time, shut that door in that office or turn off the computer and focus on something else for a while. It's like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If we're not sharpening the saw, you can't cut down a forest. You know, we have to take care of ourselves because we will not be able to take care of anyone else if we don't.
For sure. So if people would like to join Lead Up, tell us how they would find more info. If anyone has questions, they can ask me directly. I'm an active member, super excited for some things that are coming up, but why don't you tell everybody the best way to do that?
Yeah, it's so easy. We're Lead Up for Women everywhere. So on Twitter, on Pinterest, on YouTube, on Facebook. We have a Facebook community out there called Lead Up for Women Community. We also have a business Facebook page. So that's where you're going to get a lot of your information, is to follow us at Lead Up for Women, plural. And then also on our website, leadupforwomen.com. And you're going to find all of the information about there. There's an awesome video that's been created that really goes into detail of everything you can expect to gain from being a member of Lead Up for Women. There's testimonials, there's videos of some of our events and several of the things that we've done. So that's a really good compilation for you to understand quickly what it is that Lead Up for Women does and how you can plug yourself into that.
So leadupforwomen.com is the website, and then Lead Up for Women is the social media platform on all the channels.
On all the channels,
Cool.
Everywhere.
Well, thank you for being here. Super excited to share this great
It's been an
news.
honor.
And we'll catch you soon.
All right. Thanks, Rosanna.
You're welcome.